Welcome to the Nerd Party.
They can travel anywhere in time and space.
Off we go into time and space.
So all of time and all of space is sitting out there.
What have I been waiting for? Been wasting all my time. Watching my youth slip away surely is a crime.
Welcome to Time and Space, one married couple's adventure through the Doctor Who universe. I'm Jessica Nunn.
And I'm her, for the kids, companion, Phillip Gilfus.
You know, all of the kids I work with talk about how down with it you are.
That's right.
And woke and lit and fly. Is fly still a thing?
Well, I'm pretty fly for a white guy.
Yeah, you are. That's exactly what they say, these 16-year-olds. Oh, I love that as a thing.
Yes.
So what have we been doing this? Oh, we survived a hurricane.
We survived a hurricane.
So far.
Yeah,
so far. Let's not...
For the most part. It's gone. Now it's the post-hurricane effects we worry about.
Yes.
So, but I mean, for the most part, it didn't touch us. Hurricane Florence or Tropical Storm Florence or Tropical Depression Florence by the
as
time.
she's known as now. Yeah.
But, you know, she sort of hooked around us where we live in North Carolina. But nevertheless... we certainly know people who were affected, unfortunately. But I mean, as far as where we live, we are sort of didn't hit us really till the end. Like, recording
yesterday.
this. Yeah.
Oh my God, Sunday.
Yeah, Sunday.
That was when it rained.
And
rained. I mean, just incessantly. I think because we have a bucket outside, a big tin bucket that actually held the beer for our wedding. Yeah. And I turned it over before the hurricane started.
Right, to make a drum.
No, the other way.
Oh, okay.
It's a drum during normal times. Okay. For the hurricane, I turned it over and made it a bucket. No, I put some plants in there so that they wouldn't blow away. Mm-hmm. And then ended up taking them out once the wind was gone. But so for sort of Thursday through Saturday, we'd gotten maybe 2 or 3 inches in the bucket. And by this morning, it was filled up to the very top. So we got probably a foot, which means that we got 8 or 9 inches all in a 24-hour period, which is a tremendous amount of water. And places around us flooded. The end of my mother's road that she lives on was flooded. My Uncle Gary, as I was driving to work today, noticed that his driveway has now a river running through it. Mm. Which was exciting. Our creek had risen quite considerably. So, it was a lot of rain. We were incredibly fortunate not to lose power. With the ground as wet as it is at the moment, we still have the potential to lose trees and subsequently power. But I think we're through the worst of it. And, we got incredibly lucky.
Yeah, I think most of the local flooding receded fairly quickly for the most part. Yeah, there's a lot of people who are in the east part of the state are going to be living with this a very long time, and they were just getting out of Hurricane Matthew.
Yeah.
So, and then where my parents live, they're fine in Fayetteville, which is sort of more south-central, southeastern.
But they were without power for like 3 days or something.
Well, I think a day and a half or something like that.
It felt like longer than that.
But anyway, so basically it's almost a wait and see. Give it another 2 days or see how the river levels go.
Yeah, and one of the problems is, of course, that all of the rivers run to the ocean. And so, all
the south and the east.
Yeah, so we got this tremendous amount of rain. And so all of our rivers are now heading back to the coast, who have already gotten pummeled. And they're saying the Cape Fear River in Fayetteville, for instance, isn't going to crest until tomorrow sometime.
Yeah, these 62 or something.
So it's going to be ridiculous. And we've been thinking a lot about our eastern neighbors.
Sure. So, but in the spirit of luckiness, we did get our hunkering down and made it an opportunity for today's topic.
Yes, absolutely. All of our events were canceled from Friday to Sunday, so we decided that we were going to look at something a little different. A Doctor Who spinoff. Some have been successful and others have been
Class.
Yeah. In 2016, this 8-episode series premiered, hoping to attract teenage viewers, and was canceled. Why was this series, launched with the help of the 12th Doctor, not fated to last? We'll be talking all things Class and try not to turn into Shadowkin.
You have to say something?
Go ahead.
Not until I did research 5 seconds ago.
You thought it was Shadow King.
I thought it was Shadow King.
I thought it was Shadow King too. I did my research yesterday.
Okay.
Because I am much more prepared for this than you are. But yes, I thought it was Shadow King.
The whole time I thought they were talking about the guy. I thought they were literally talking about the Shadow King. I want to kill the Shadow King, death to the Shadow King. I'm like, well, the one guy, I guess. But he's been dethroned.
What's the problem here?
But,
no, it is
all of them.
It is Shadow Kin.
Oh, man.
And this may encapsulate
the whole series of not understanding
a little bit
what's going on.
A little bit.
Okay, well, let's just start at least with the premise before getting into specific characters. So the premise, we were watching on Prime, and for $0 you can purchase the behind the scenes Class stuff. So
which is only about 16 minutes, although I was bored by
Well, it wasn't like a traditional one where you sort of like show different scenes or show literally behind the scenes. This was just more actors and writers talking to a camera.
Yes, maybe, and maybe that was my problem with it, was that it was all very promo rather than, hey, look at these things.
Yeah.
But
you didn't have like the look at these exciting children who have now,
I have the GoPro attached to my head. See what I do during the day. Yeah.
Now, of course, I feel I should have looked up the creator's name, but anyway. The head writer and creator of Class. So basically, the premise.
I feel like it was Darren something. I'll look it up. I think I've got it handy.
Which is so sad. We don't even know.
Yeah.
But anyway, so the premise. This is my paraphrasing. Is sort of Coal Hill Academy on the Hellmouth. Which I think they do make fun of
They do mention
on the first episode.
Hellmouth.
They talk Hellmouth, they talk Vampire Diaries, they talk I forget all the references they made. Sort of a nod and wink of like, we know what we're doing. But
Yes. And I'm okay with that. Yeah. And I quite liked it. Oh, sorry, Patrick Ness.
See, that's a bad name.
Patrick Ness. And I feel like, he's a young adult writer, and I feel like I might have read something. Hold on, let me keep looking.
Well,
yes, I have read his The Knife of Never Letting Go series.
Okay.
They call it the Chaos Walking series. And I didn't recognize it that way, but just now looking at it, I was like, that name, I've read that. So yes, The Knife of Never Letting Go. And those were really interesting.
Does this make any more sense to this? Or
no,
okay.
No, not necessarily. But they were really interesting sort of dystopian future young adults, not Hunger Games, but Hunger Games-esque. You don't have that sort of play to the death kind of thing, but that dystopian young adults living in this
was sort of
strange world. Maybe Hunger Games meets The Giver or something like that. Okay. So, you're too young for The Giver, baby.
Okay, no, I don't know. But I think it's interesting to go for, you've had, to go through them all, Doctor Who. Then you've had Sarah Jane, which is also a kid's, but a little bit tweeny.
Yeah, definitely younger than,
Right.
At no point do we see Sarah Jane's bottom.
Right, that's true. Then you have Torchwood, which is sort of adult Doctor Who, right? And so now you have Class, which is sort of trying to get that middle, the teenagers, which is a hard group to get for anything, let's be honest.
Absolutely.
Because mostly...
particularly with sci-fi, that's not generated towards dystopia.
Right.
And we'll talk once we get a little bit further into it. I think we'll talk a little bit more about that as an idea.
And it sort of provided some opportunities, and I don't want to skip ahead to our challenges or pluses with the series, but I think it was interesting that it's Doctor Who spinoff, but I can't really think of anything other than a Weeping Angel hint cameo
at the end. Yeah,
there was nothing.
And the Doctor appearing in the first episode,
but there was nothing Doctor Who universe.
Yes,
about it. I'm not saying I wanted Daleks going through the doorways or anything, but it was other than seeing Danny Pink and Clara's name on the memorial wall
several times.
Well, they would add names after him.
Yes, they but I would agree with that. I think that was one of the issues that they had, is that they didn't tie it back enough. They could have done more to tie it back.
Because Sarah Jane is Sarah Jane, and Captain Jack is Captain Jack. but class doesn't have anyone from
Right.
Doctor Who.
Yeah, except Peter Capaldi, who shows up
Just to
in
be
the
like,
first season.
I bless the
That's the very
series
first-
by.
Yeah, pretty much. You guys are going to be a great team. I'm off.
Are they? But anyway, yeah. So anyway, but yeah, I think the premise is interesting. I mean, it is overused. Well, I was going to say overused, not in a bad way, which overused means in a bad way, but it's a premise that's out there. High school with a thing that encounter. I mean, Torchwood, which is not a high school, but Torchwood had the rift. Allows people to come through.
And I'm perfectly comfortable with literally the British version of Buffy.
Yeah.
You know, I'm perfectly comfortable with that. I love the premise of this.
And to be fair, first season Buffy is, it is what
Well,
it is.
and this is one of my things. I think that class was still trying to figure itself out. And one of the problems with British television that American television doesn't necessarily have to face is that they had 8 seasons or 8 episodes to show who they were. And I think that's really harder than we give people credit for. You know, Buffy's first season was...
It was a mid-season replacement, but still probably had 16 episodes or something.
Yeah, exactly. And so they have twice as long to sort of find their feet. And that's where I felt this really went wrong, is that it just never found its feet. And I think if it had been given another season... although, and I'm sure we'll come back to this, I have very mixed feelings about the Weeping Angels being part of the second season. But I feel like if they'd had another season, they may have had better luck.
Cool. Well, let's sort of scope into the characters here.
Okay.
So first we're going to go with the Prince himself, Charles Smith.
Yes.
So what do you think about the Prince?
I like it. The truth is, I liked all of the characters. I liked all of the actors. I thought they all did a great job. I think we needed more backstory. And I know we're going to come to Quill, but we get so much thrust at us without a lot of context. We don't see what his world looked like.
Right.
We don't see what his world looked like when the Quills were freedom fighters, as Quill puts it, or terrorists, as Charlie puts it. We don't see that world at all.
So this is the whole we get telling, not showing.
Yeah, we get a flashback of the shadow killing people, but that's literally all we get.
The shadow
backs.
kin.
Sorry,
not the shadow killing.
Shadow kin. It sounded like I said killing, and I didn't. I said kin. So yeah, I think we missed a lot with that. I think we missed a lot of opportunity with that.
Yeah, I think with Charlie, I mean, I like that he's sort of... I think they could have played it more. So, the premise is that he's an alien among humans, teenagers, and, the whole teenagers are awkward, and he doesn't know social pop culture. I don't think that played up enough. Like, he wasn't awkward enough. I mean, he's supposed to be the prince, so he always sort of has the... I mean, even...
He has in maybe the first episode, I think, where he's Googling Idris Elba.
Yes.
Which is cute, but...
Yeah.
I think that's the biggest reference we get to it. I agree.
I mean, him not understanding prom, and then the misunderstanding, like, she thinks, he's like, oh, I'm supposed to, he's like, no, thank you. Yeah.
Yes, and then later on, he's like, so you're supposed to have a date for prom, and April's like, yes, and he's like, I will ask this guy, and then she's like, oh, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And all of that was absolutely fine, except he's not human.
Right.
And as you say, there needs to be... and I would have liked, at further in, he gives us a little bit of sob story of how he has this responsibility and he has to think of the people rather than himself, and he doesn't feel like his family really thought of him as an individual. And again, he's telling us these things and we haven't seen any of it.
It would have been interesting because the thread of the season, I'll say season for America, the season is not... Like, I mean, there's 2 ways to do it. You could have just done what you usually do is, enemy of the week or monster of the week. That's what usually these shows do, first season. And they didn't do that, necessarily.
And then again, this is one of my problems with the season, is they sort of, and then they hedged their bets with this, and that was frustrating.
But if there is a thread, I think it would be interesting if they had done a thread of flashbacks to Quill and Charlie, every episode, it could be start with, well, not every episode, but most episodes starts with, before the Shadowkin attack. You know, this incident, and then you flash forward to the current one. And, you know, maybe not every, but I think that would sort of set up more. Because they're sort of, I mean, Charlie, well, I don't know if he's the main character, but if anyone is, it's him. Unless he isn't. But anyway, but Charlie and Quill as the two aliens are sort of, you know, I feel like...
They are the anchor to Doctor Who.
Exactly.
Certainly.
They're the anchors, you know. And so it would have been interesting to see more. And then I think with Charlie, the thread, and we've watched this twice. We watched it when it aired, except we sort of got bored.
We missed the last two
episodes and never, like it's been on the DVR this whole time. We've never watched it. But then we watched it this time. And still the premise of like the entire thread of, I'm forgetting the names of things, but the box with the souls of his people, of not to use it or to use it. And I'm still not clear on the conflict. So I get it. So there's the box of souls of his people. It can be used as a weapon because the souls will attack another soul and destroy it, I guess. Mm-hmm. And then, so he doesn't...
But it means genocide.
Right.
It means that every thing of that race is going to be completely wiped out.
Right.
Yeah.
But then he says if I use it, it kills himself. I guess did he mean like...
No, that was because that was in the last episode, hashtag spoilers, and the Shadowkin King had blown something in his eye and made him sort of Shadowkin.
But before that, remember that it was like the...
Before that, it was all like, but if I do this, I'll lose myself. I lose hope. Because he has all of the souls of his people together. And the minute he releases them, they will be gone forever.
Because I'm thinking of the episode, and there's so few, so it could be like the 4th episode, because there's only 8. The one where it's him, the boyfriend, Quill, and the governor, or the head. He kept saying head. I thought they meant head teacher.
Yeah, they did.
They had mistress, or is that the same thing?
Head
I was
teacher
confused.
and head mistress is the same thing.
Okay, well, I thought there was a department meant head. Okay, anyway.
No, I mean, there are, but that's not what she is. Okay. She comes in and replaces the head.
I got that, but then they got confused me. Anyway.
Yeah.
But anyway, so on the head, and there's the whole, like, the gun, and then, like, you use it on them, or you're going to use it on the pedals, or you're going to use it in that sort of the conflict. I was like, that's confusing to me, because I'm like, I don't really understand what's going on.
No, I got it. I understood that, you know, the minute that happens, he's going to lose himself because he's committed genocide. Okay. And theoretically,
but he later reveals he's fine with that in a way.
Ultimately, yeah. But also because then the last remnant of his people are gone.
Right.
And then they do this whole sort of thing of if you're a hero and you do it, then all the souls come back.
But then it was just kind of like low-key introduced that and then whispered it in the last episode and be like, never mind, I guess.
Well, I am not sure because I wonder if then April comes back as the Shadowkin King because she was then somehow one of the souls in the box somehow. Yeah. None of that's made clear. And also, I really struggled with the idea that he goes through this big whole thing of, no, I can't commit genocide against the Shadowkins. Genocide is wrong. Genocide is wrong. I'll come up with a compromise and the Shadowkin can kill the flowers and that'll be great and problem solved. And then at the end he's like, oh no, I've got to commit genocide against the Shadowkin. Done.
Yeah.
And I was like, that doesn't...
Because like, you're almost set up Quills as being the counter argument and she's quote unquote the villain. I mean, we can talk about it in a second. But then you're like, well, I guess she was right the whole time.
Yeah, totally should have. We could have fixed a lot of problems if they had done that before the season even started. And so I struggled a lot with that final choice because
it seemed like they just wrote themselves in a corner.
He spent so much time and so many people died throughout the course of the season because he wasn't prepared to do that. And so then in the end, he's cool with it. Yeah. You know, I feel like those lives were lost for nothing.
Yeah.
If he'd done that in episode 1, when they first chopped off Rami's leg, problem solved. Anyway. Let's move on to the next alien of the week.
So another part of Charlie's character, how are we saying the boyfriend's
Mateus.
name? Mateus. I mean, I thought it was interesting. It was sort of like, you know, they're 2 guys in a relationship, no big deal. And I'm like, well, that's fine. I'm fine with that. But it seemed like, and I don't know, this is where I get into trouble, not actually being young. They seem very adult in their relationship.
I kind of feel like in some cases that's a thing. That didn't bother me. It didn't bother me that much.
I think just the way, because I felt like the boyfriend, well, because Charlie, I felt like, and the actor seemed like a teenager. I feel like Mateus seems more like 25 or something, playing it as a 25-year-old.
But you know what he didn't seem the whole time we were watching this?
Oh, no.
American,
oh, that's
which
true.
he totally is. So
at least he sounded like it.
Props to the actor for that. Yes, when we saw him in the interviews, we were like, he does not sound nearly as Polish as he does in the television series. He's British American. He is a dual citizen of the world, but yeah, and I get that. And again, I don't fit. We are told.
I mean, I'm trying to think. I guess what is a teenage gay relationship I've seen on screen? I'm sure I have, but none comes to mind. So maybe I don't have something to compare it against.
You mean a male gay?
Yeah.
I mean, I was thinking about Willow and
Tara.
Tara, yeah. I don't know. I'd need to think about it. I'm sure I could come up with it, but I watch a lot lot than you do.
Yeah.
And so I watch the teenage
I
dramas.
was ultimately dismiss it.
I was getting to the clarifying teenage dramas, or what I mean by fluff. Again, we get the whole, we are told Mateus's parents hate this.
Yeah.
We are told that they throw him out of the house. We don't get to see any of that. We don't get to, and so we can't, whilst we can sympathize, we can't empathize. We haven't seen any of that sort of thing happen.
And this was me, just the reality of it, because they sort of like dismiss it, like, because he gets kicked out of the house, and so he ends up living with Charlie and Quill, which, whatever. I mean, that's fine. But then it's like they have a fight.
And so he goes and sleeps in his
cousin's
cousin's car.
But like,
not his car, his cousin's car for 3 days.
That's terrible.
Yeah.
I would have been like, Charlie, you just put him in a room and don't talk to him.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're going to make him live in a car?
Yeah. But again, because we don't have any of his backstory, and it's interesting, in, again, researching this, I went to Wikipedia. Yeah. I'm not proud, but that's always just the quick and dirty version. Yeah. And they talk about the fact that the actor who plays Mateus, and I don't know any actor's name, so it is no offense to this one that I don't know his. The actor playing Mateus was never listed in the opening credits as a main character, but was in every episode. When
I was doing the TARDIS.wikia, or maybe I did Wikipedia too, where it listed the main characters, and then Mateus was the second of the. I'm like, I'm putting him in that's why I have him listed in our outline.
You have him in a subsection underneath Charlie, and we don't know if that's the way they work, but hey, we're going with it. So yeah, I feel like, and I don't know if maybe they wanted that to not be as big a storyline as it ended up being. They just wanted, Charlie's got a boyfriend and that's a normal thing and that's fine, but the boyfriend isn't necessarily part of it. I don't know what the thought process was.
But it was I did like that he was always there.
Oh, yeah.
And he wasn't like guy version of damsel in distress. Like, I mean, he was always sort of like, hey, Charlie, you should do this, you should do that.
He was Charlie's anchor.
Yeah.
He was the moral compass for Charlie. Yeah. But again, I wanted to know more. And I wanted to see more of their relationship.
Yeah.
They go to prom.
Like I said, it's so very adult, like, we kiss and then we're just solid now.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I'm an alien.
They go to prom and he finds out that Charlie's an alien, and then sort of the next thing we see is him coming to Charlie's door saying, I've been kicked out, and Charlie's like, yep, come on in. You can live here now. We're going to have sex.
There you go.
And now it's a relationship.
I mean, both of them.
So there's no, but, we're coming to Ram next. I felt very similarly about Ram and April.
Well, because I mean, I'm not saying I want, details for either of the relationships, but like, is it both? This is old hat to them. I mean, is there any first time for either of them?
Yeah. Again, it just needed to build.
Yeah,
it needed to build, and it didn't.
Right.
And that again encapsulates my whole problem with this season. Mm-hmm. I liked it. I really wanted to like it more than I did, but everything is so fast.
Right.
And you don't get any of this lovely build-up, this delicious tension that you really want to have. It felt like they knew they were going to be canceled in 8 episodes, and so needed to sort of ram everything through as quickly as possible to get to the end, which was then a cliffhanger, so they clearly didn't know it was a lot.
Well, you segued to
Ram. Yes.
Ram Singh.
Sing.
I should know this because it's like Khan Singh. Yes.
Yes.
But Ram, interesting, because again, not being British or watching a lot of British television, this, and I don't say this in a hokey way. I mean, they don't, purposefully or not, they check the diversity boxes in this series for the most part.
Without any blinking.
And maybe that's not, they're not even trying, and I'm just, that's the American eye of looking at things. But anyway, but that being said, because...
But again, all of it just so smoothly.
Yeah.
And to a certain extent, as you say, it's an American eye, and London schools are much more diverse than...
American schools.
American schools generally, although I'm sure in places like New York City, but they're much more... consistently diverse. That is not always true for outside of London.
Right.
Having taught in the outskirts of London and mostly had white kids, but I did have a Sikh family that we taught. I taught both of the children, and we did have children from African countries.
That's true.
So all of those sorts of things are not, there were not as many as you would necessarily find in a London school. So, but it was seamless. Yeah. There was never,
And he does get a chance to, well, not that it's necessary, but, there was a episode that he brings up about his faith and his traditions, and that was interesting. It wasn't like we had to do it in the first episode to establish that it's just like, I don't know, episode 6, I'll talk about it.
Yeah, and it is, as you say, sort of a natural conversation.
Well,
I mean, again, they're in the caves of the Shadowkin.
And you're like, is this the best time?
Yes, it didn't feel like it. And I think that's the thing, because it was so full on, monsters are coming to eat our faces right this second all the time, we didn't get those casual friendship conversations. Right. So when...
With the girl you just left.
So when Tanya later on is like, I feel like you guys treat me like a little sister. Well, we haven't, as an audience, haven't seen any evidence of that.
Right.
Because we don't see them doing anything other than fighting the monsters.
Or talking over the computer.
Yeah, we don't see them hanging out at school. We don't see them hanging out after school. Right. They are either talking on the computer, fighting monsters, or having sex.
Yeah, and so with Ram, and I thought this to myself, but then I read it in an article, so I'm like, well, now did I really think it that much, or did this just emphasize totally what I was thinking? But like for the most part, I thought Ram was an interesting character. I mean, like chronologically, from like episode 1 to episode 6. Though I felt like it was one of those things where I'm trying to think of like, I don't know if Glee's a good, but like you have the jock character, and in American, well, I won't like, but I feel like in other stories, it would have been the reluctant, I'm joining this group, but Ram's like, no, I'm with y'all. I mean, and I don't know how the jock nerd separation is among the British schools, but I mean, he didn't seem super jockey, other than himself personally, that he was a big footballer, but he wasn't like hanging around with the team members. I never saw him hanging around with anyone except his dad, and so it didn't feel like to me like it'd be like you think, because there was those comments like, oh, you're the jock. I'm like, yeah, but he's hanging out with you. I mean, he doesn't have any other friends other than you.
Apparently.
Except for the girl who got murdered.
And she's dead now, so that doesn't matter.
She struck me as being, like, much older than him.
She might have been.
Like, she didn't strike me as, like, a student that went to that school. Yeah. Because, like, she got the Uber for him.
Interestingly enough, she's one of the biggest names in the show. She was on Hollyoaks, and, she has more acting credits to her name, certainly television credits, than any of the others appear to. So that's kind of random.
Because again, I was like, what's the explanation with hating or dating the like 20-year-old or something?
Yeah. And if you're dating a 20-year-old, there needs to be some explanation.
Because I felt like when she was at the pitch and the dad was like, I felt like there was going to be a conversation with like, was that your girlfriend?
Yes, and because he was like, who's this girl? And there just weren't these normal moments. Everything was heightened, and so nothing was heightened.
And I did feel like, of all school series that I've seen, Class actually did kind of the best of having parents. I mean, there's some but then it sort of got tricky, because then it's like, spoiler alert, his dad dies, and it's like, oh, my mom's away. But like, I've never seen the mom.
Met his mom.
The whole, and then
never.
the parents are always conveniently somewhere else, or and then like they always sneak out and whatever. But anyway.
And we see him letting his dad in on this.
Yeah, the leg.
And his dad's like, okay.
Yep. Alien leg. Okay.
Yeah.
Don't tell
Mom. That makes sense. Don't tell Mom. Okay, fair enough. We're moving on. There is you're not hanging out with these people anymore because you got your leg cut off and replaced with alien technology. Right. So none of this.
Or what's he telling the girl's family who got murdered?
Yeah, she just disappeared, didn't she? That's what happens at Coal Hill. People just disappear, but they never return.
She's not a student? Is she
I don't know.
Student?
We don't know. I mean, maybe she's a really stupid 20-year-old, except they don't really hold people back in Britain, so that's not the answer. So, I don't know.
But anyway, but my problem with Ram is in the, what I'm calling the Naked Now episode in my Star Trek illusion, from that episode on, he's just the yelly, spitty character. What are we doing? You all no, I'm leaving. Blah! And then that's him all throughout the rest of the series.
Who's mugging for the camera.
Right.
Like, I feel like the first few episodes, really good. And then about halfway through, he finds his feet. In his own mind, at least. Mm-hmm. And then it's a lot of mugging. He pulls a lot of faces. Mm-hmm. Halfway through this season, he becomes an actor. And it's clear that is what he is doing. And again, there's no definitive, like, part of the time, he's comedic relief.
Right.
And the rest of the time, he is really, really angsty. And there's just no middle ground.
Because it's hard to get a feel for his character. Because is he this, the self-assured jock who's the star footballer? I don't know. I'm like, varsity football here in America. I don't know what they call this, the star jocks in Britain. But anyway, star
footballers. That's about it.
Yeah. But on I forget, what was it? Team 1, Team 2. I know he got.
Yes.
Anyway.
Yeah.
But anyway, the point. But it's not like he was popular at school. Like no one else talked to him.
Although he's kind of a bully at the beginning. He knocks Charlie's books over, so he's clearly like the BMOC, as 'twere.
But is he though?
But we don't see that.
He should be surrounded by other footballers.
Yeah.
And then he should be losing contact with his footballers and hang out with the new group, and then that's a conflict. But then, of course, I mean, that's a conflict. Obviously, his larger conflict is his whole PTSD, not that I'm making light of that, from his murdered girlfriend, which makes sense. I mean, that should be something that sticks with him, and it does. And, there's that lovely kind of him back and forth with Tanya. Oh, why aren't you going to ask me what happened? And she talks about her loss with her. And that's
all of which is
all
really
very good.
Beautiful,
but
yeah.
I just feel he kind of unravels, and I still don't get a feel for who he is as a person.
And the problem is that he does that in episode 3 or whatever, and then shags April in episode 4, and then in episode 5 confesses that he loves April more than she loves him, and it all sort of escalates very quickly, and now he... who we have been told is the big man on campus, the powerful one, is put in this submission place, but we don't get to see any of that happen. Mm-hmm. And so we don't understand why all of a sudden he's in love with, and we don't address the fact that maybe this is rebound because you watched your girlfriend die. Even if you didn't have very strong feelings for that girl, you were just shagging her, or she was convenient, or she was the most popular girl there, and so you needed to be with her, whatever. Perhaps this thing that you think you feel is a reaction to that, because remember, that was apparently only 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, I mean, because like in the truth-telling episode, I feel like that would have been the more interesting truth. I just slept with you because that, other than I'm in love with you, because for one thing, and again, this teenage love, I get it, not to poo-poo it, but well, if you love her, then don't be a dick to her. I mean, that's
and I also appreciate the attempt to turn the trope on its head. That it's the jock who has the stronger feelings for the nerdy girl rather than the other way around. I appreciate
he's more
trying
emotive
to trip
as
that
a character.
Up.
Yes, and she's a little bit more Mr. Spock.
Yes,
yeah,
but it doesn't. Yeah, and you're absolutely right. That would have been a huge. I don't actually love you. I think, I'm just rebounding.
Or the explanation would be that's how it started. But no, I do care for you.
Once the rock is out of his hand,
penny
that's
drops.
where it those sorts of things. And they just don't explore their humanness. And I think that if you're going to have a world full of... I mean, that's the whole point of a companion in Doctor Who, right?
Yeah.
Is to give us the humanness of it and to highlight the humanness of the Doctor. And we don't get any of that in class. They could all be aliens.
You know.
For
And one last thing about Ram before we move on. His dad, which I think is a good character... They killed all the parents at this, and that was when they killed all the parents in the last episode. Yeah, I mean, I was like, "There's no way this is real." I was literally said that, "Oh, this is a dream," and then like, "No, this is real. They're doing this," and I'm like, "Oh, they're just blowing up the whole show." Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm not going to watch the show.
Yeah, no, they killed all the parents straight away, and dear God, the poor boy's been through enough.
You know.
All of them have been through enough.
I mean, now
it's just
Tanya's an orphan now.
Where do you go from here?
Yeah.
That's the thing. They have turned it up to 11 to finish this season that clearly they thought was going to come back because they leave it on a cliffhanger. But there's nowhere to go. You can't go beyond we killed all the parents except the mom we stuck back in the wheelchair.
Right.
You can't. There's nothing you can do.
I mean, that was a bridge too far. And see, that's where with class, like, how dark are we going? Because Torchwood is pretty dark. And I'm like, I don't need class to go that dark. I mean, that's me personally. Maybe that's what they think the kids want. Yeah. Me, I think it's time to go a little more utopian than dystopia, but that's just me these days.
Well, and this is also 2 years ago, so, I think that dystopia was still more...
Yeah, in the vogue.
Yeah.
Whereas now we're like, I don't think we need that.
I just feel like they took everything they had and stuffed it into these 8 episodes. When all of the things that happen in this season... I think would have been gorgeous over 2 seasons. Mm-hmm. All of these threads. There's absolutely no reason why you couldn't have played out April sharing a heart with the Shadowkin King all the way through to season 2.
And don't pair off all your characters in the first season.
Definitely
Maybe not have Ram and April till next one.
Yes. Again, you could have built that up and carried it straight through. This whole Quill and Charlie thing, you could have easily carried that and given us more backstory so we understood Quill's perspective more. All of those sorts of things. I think perhaps if they had 16 episodes, they had taken all the information they crammed into 8 and given it to us in 16, I think it could have succeeded.
Okay. Moving on to April.
Yep.
Which I didn't know that was her last name, McLean. But anyway, so April. Okay. Just April. So sort of I don't say the nerd, because that's really Tanya's role if we're trying to keyhole people. The no friends person. I don't know how else to talk to.
Yeah, the mousy one.
Mousy one, yeah. And you learn a little bit more, the alcoholic, I guess, right? Alcoholic, violent, abusive father, I guess?
Well, suicidal. I don't think he was abusive. I think he was suicidal.
When he drove the car in.
And was taking them with him. Yeah.
But anyway. Yeah. So, and then, gets the wheelchair-bound mom and had to testify against her dad.
We get considerably more backstory for her than we did for anybody else, I think.
Of course, we don't get till the end,
maybe
almost.
Tanya.
We don't get till, halfway through.
Yes.
And so, but she's...
And again, there's not a lot of resolution. Her dad shows up. He's there for her. She freaks out. She doesn't want him there. She doesn't want him there. He's still going to be there through this weird, now I carry swords moment. Yeah. And then she says, you have to go, which I completely get. Right. I think that, her reaction is appropriate. But then he's, okay. And he's gone and there's no mention of him again. Right. And so there's no sort of...
And she heals her mom, who never actually seems to get out of the wheelchair.
We never really see her walk.
You get to I took a step, and then in the next episode she's in the wheelchair again. I'm like, are we not doing this?
I think she was just in a chair.
Yeah.
I think she was just in chairs from then on. Yeah. And so there's no growth as a character.
Because I almost feel like as we went on, and again, it's an ensemble, but I feel like as we went on, say the middle part, maybe even the latter part, she was sort of forming to be a main character, or at least had the most story. With the Shadowkin heart and her struggle, but I'm like, I don't know. I was actually starting to not get interested anymore because her character was so not interesting. Because there wasn't more to it. It's like, I'm always at war. Or I'm always and nothing affects me, and I'm like, okay, well, you're not interesting then.
Well, And yeah, I mean, in the very first episode, you know, she's like, nobody wants kind, nobody wants nice. I'm mousy, I'm mousy, I'm mousy. And then straight away, she's, nope, I'm very strong. I may look mousy, but I'm really strong. And almost every episode,
I can fight the Shadow King.
Yeah. And almost
King.
every episode, she repeats that.
Yeah.
I'm stronger than you think I am. Look, watch me beat up the Shadowkin, or sleep with Ram, or do all of these things that are really, really... And so we've gone from, oh, I'm mousy, to, oh, I'm strong. And there's no build. We don't see that growth. We don't see that steel underneath. And we don't get to explore that. She tells us that she's stronger than she looks. She tells us that she's nice, and then she tells us that she's stronger than she looks.
And she plays... Is that a violin or a fiddle? I don't know.
There is no difference, sweetheart.
Okay.
It depends on the type of music you play as to what you call it.
Okay.
So she plays a fiddle for all
Plays
intents
folk
and
music,
purposes. But it's the exact same instrument.
She was singing a little bit. So I was like, okay, I guess the actress wants to sing in an episode.
Yeah, which is what I always think when
Yeah.
these sorts of things are just
Someone's
thrust
trying to get an
upon us.
album.
Yeah.
But I mean, she was fine. No complaints, obviously. But it's sort of like, okay, we're doing this now.
Yeah.
We're having music now.
Music night. And Ram totally knew where to find her, even though they were having a fight.
Yes.
I don't know how that happened, but whatevs.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
and her mom sits through the whole episode.
Right. Pretty much. I mean, she had a lot to go on, but it was nothing I really want to talk about because it wasn't that interesting.
Yeah.
Except she turned into the Shadowkin thing, and I'm like, okay.
Oh, God, where are you going with this? Yeah, absolutely. That was just, I don't know.
You know,
And so
Charlie
does that
shoots
mean
her.
that all the souls came back? I don't know. I don't have any. I don't know.
I just feel like Ram may kill Charlie in the next minute that we didn't see.
Yeah, quite
Except
possibly.
Ram's kind of a...
Maybe beats him with his automated leg.
Yeah, I guess.
I don't know. Which I don't know if he's learned how to use. We never really. I mean, we
He
get to
gets
see he hits
in
the
the
water
garden.
bottle with the
Yeah,
football.
yeah.
Yeah, once. But then he's still not.
I don't know.
I'm not buying
So
it.
anyway, Tanya.
Tanya.
It was weird because, maybe because, you know, after a certain age you can't tell how old people are anymore. She's like, I'm 14 and younger. I'm like, you seem the same age. I don't know.
But okay. I'm willing to suspend my disbelief because I understand in my head that none of these actors are the ages they're playing.
Because
So
I feel like
we just move on.
The problem, not that it was a bad premise, but the problem is that, okay, she's supposed to be, I guess, the wonder kid, you know, so she's really, really smart, but she's younger than everyone. But because of her culture, Nigerian?
No, I think Nigerian.
So because of her Nigerian mom and culture, it's not clear whether she's being treated that way because she's 14 or because she's Nigerian.
And she makes a thing. You're absolutely right. She talks a lot about, you know, when she got out of the house and she's like, oh, my Nigerian mom is going to
You don't know how much
out.
I'm...
Yeah, and so you're absolutely right. You don't know how much of it's culture and how much
Like,
of
in other
it's
words,
age.
if she was 16, does it change the story at all?
Yeah. And I don't know. Because she is not so much of a wonder kid that we see, you know, that she sort of becomes the doctor position of, I know all these things. And we don't see enough of her with her family.
Except till the end. And then,
Those poor brothers who appear in 2 episodes, and
No
I think they're
lines.
twins.
yes.
And I'm like, man, that's just mean to cast these boys and then just
Orphan them.
completely not use them. Yeah, and then orphan them, of course. And again, you have that lovely, and I thought she was brilliant. I
no problem
thought
with her.
Tanya was absolutely brilliant. And you have this nice one moment with her mom after the mystery dad goes away,
Right.
which is, and you have some great moments of her with slimy dad or whatever he is. But again, even with this whole my mom's culture, my culture, I'm being forced to stay in the house more, we don't see it because we don't see her mom enough. We don't see that sort of thing.
And also, maybe I was distracted in that episode because I thought it was an interesting episode. It's very theatrical, you know, with the setup. But then at the end, it's sort of like, I don't know, I'm angry, and that's how I defeated it. I'm like, okay, is that...
And I just thought maybe that might work, so I totally took his hand, knowing it was a trick, hoping maybe... I agree.
It was all this
Again,
build up, and then, like, I touched him, and I was angry, and I win. I'm like...
And
okay.
now we're never going to deal with that again.
Yeah.
Because that situation's gone.
Yeah.
You know, again, we don't see the buildup of this anger towards her dad in any way, shape, or form. We don't see the reaction to that once it's done. There's no personal stuff for these kids. I mean, so it doesn't matter. It
would have been interesting to have more, and I don't know, not being a 14-year-old British girl, but like what's the clear delineation, other than she's really smart, but what would make her younger? Like different cultural, different way she dresses, what's that 2 years difference?
Or
socially?
Just some sort of moment. Again, she's like, I feel like I'm everybody's little sister. And I'm like, really? Because we've not seen that at all.
Yeah, you're in every episode with everyone all the time.
And nobody says anything.
In fact, you initiate most of the computer calls, it seems like.
Nobody says, go home, you're too young to deal with this. Or, oh, we shouldn't talk about this in front of her. There's none of those moments. These guys are very much the Scooby Gang.
Yes.
Literally, because really,
Buffy,
how much do you know about Fred and Daphne?
Yeah.
And you don't know. Have you met Fred's parents? Do you ever see them in the cartoons? No. That's what this is. These and so it's too caricature, I think, for me.
And then to move on, segue to the Scooby-Doo of this gang.
Quill. The best thing about this show.
Well, which I think Quill is interesting. I will say it's not a bad episode by any means, but the Quill only episode, I'm like, I don't know if I can have an episode of Class that doesn't have the kids. Like, I feel like...
I was good with it. I love her. I thought she was brilliant. Yeah. And then, the first thing I said to you when we watched the backstage stuff and they showed the actress who played Quill is, oh my God, she's so much softer looking. She just looked softer. It was just, Quill is so sharp. And again, she doesn't we see a little bit of I feel like I'm being left out. I'm the one who comes in and saves the day sometimes, and that's never acknowledged. And you could see a little bit, and I feel like if they had 16 episodes, we could have watched that build more. It would have made way more sense. The whole pregnancy thing was ridiculous.
I mean, so if we're doing Buffy, she's clearly Spike.
Yes.
Latter series Spike, of course.
Not rapey Spike.
Well, yeah, no. But anyway, but the not villain Spike, but the reluctant anti-hero Spike.
Yes.
Yeah. And so same hair color actually. But anyway, and so I think she was good for comic relief on one hand, but then also her story was interesting. But again, as you said with Charlie, we don't get it. Like we can't judge for ourselves who's right or who's wrong, or is there a gray area? Is she a terrorist or is she a freedom fighter? Does she deserve being, as Tanya and other people, a slave? Or a punishment, as Charlie calls it.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
And then, so we're just left to be like, because I feel like that is an issue. Is she Charlie's slave? Which obviously is not a good thing.
And again,
but how should we feel about that?
Even without any of the backstory, even if we didn't have any of the backstory other than the moment they landed at Coal Hill, we don't see enough of their relationship to understand.
And they live together, yeah.
Yeah, so what is it about the way Charlie treats her that makes her feel like she's a slave? What is it about the way Charlie treats her that makes Charlie feel like it's not that, what sort of angst is going on that we never see? They seem to be getting along fine most of the time, it's not warm particularly, but it's two housemates doing their thing. So what is the thing that leads to this? Again, I just feel like if they had they had spread this out just a little bit longer.
So she's left pregnant with a presumably shape changer's baby or whatever.
Yeah.
And without the control thing in her head and
the weird animal thing.
And
see, again, I quite liked that episode because it
random.
felt a little bit more Doctor Who-ish.
Yeah. Self-contained, it's fine, but in the larger series, it doesn't really fit. It's like Glasgow's did with a Wonderland,
Yeah.
Like, okay.
But again, it felt too fast. The whole thing of, I fight you. You help me. You operate on me. We have sex. Now we have to fight till the death.
Yeah.
I don't. What? Sorry. What? and now I'm pregnant.
And then
And now I have long hair, but then I cut it off again, so I have no idea. It's
almost like they wrote her like, wouldn't it be really funny if at the end of this episode she shows up long hair and pregnant and with a scar Actually, no, we saw that she was pregnant. But anyway.
We didn't
Yeah,
see
which
she
I thought was like,
pregnant
that is
until
a good
the next
idea. And then
episode.
like, oh shoot, now I gotta read that episode.
Yeah, try and figure it out. But I thought the actress was absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
The actress was phenomenal. And I'm so gutted because I so wanted to love this. I mean, even watching it again this weekend, I so wanted to love it, and it just never came together. And they, as we said, they couldn't figure out if they wanted to be a monster of the week or if they wanted to have a through line, and so they'd sort of be a monster of the week, and then there might be a random mention of the through line, and oh yeah, she shares her heart with the Shadowkin King, and it never gelled.
Because to me, even though I watched it before, watching it this time, I was really hopeful. Like, oh man, I hope they don't use that Shadow King. Oh, they are really? It's like by the third episode or fourth, he's back already, or they are back already. I'm like, 3 episodes. This should have been first, somewhere in the middle, end. That should have been the Shadow King, not this like. It's like 75% Shadow Kin. And I'm like, that's not okay. They're really not that interesting, to be honest. I mean, I get the whole backstory that they killed the Quill and the Charlie's Ronin, whatever. I forget it was. But
again, we don't know that.
Yeah.
We didn't say, we see the massacre scene a little bit
Yeah.
with all of these creatures who look human, and there's already been a mention of the fact that, oh no, we only look human to you guys.
There's like a 2-second
now.
gag of like what they look like real, and I forget what it looked like, but yeah.
Yeah, well, we do see the demon, or not the demon, the goddess,
Yeah.
the Quill goddess. So putatively,
Something like
they're
that.
all supposed to look like that. I don't know, before they cut off the goddess head, which is right at the moment that Quill's starting to believe in the god.
It's weird.
It was too much.
Yeah.
It was too fast. I desperately wanted to love it. I still enjoyed it, but I wanted that to gel.
Yeah. So anyway, I mean, I feel like we've pretty much talked about why it didn't work. So yeah, it's now. I don't know if you know, it does continue on Big Finish.
I did see that in my Wikipedia readings, yes.
So we may
And
try to,
yeah,
just to
maybe
see what
we
it's
should,
like.
and just to see if it does find its feet. Interestingly enough, they were saying that Patrick Ness was not going to return for the second
Regardless.
season. Yeah, regardless.
I'm sure there's some behind the scenes drama.
And I kind of want to know what it is. And again, I'm quite gutted because Patrick Ness is somebody who wrote a trilogy. Mm-hmm. He's somebody who knows how to draw the story out. And it just didn't happen here. And I'm sad because I enjoyed those books as well. Really enjoyed those books. And this just didn't.
Didn't draw on the viewers on BBC Three.
Now
apparently.
I'm worried about Marjorie Blackman.
I don't think Doctor Who's going to get canceled because of that. Okay. Well, from that kind of a depressing note, but anyway, if you've listened or if you've seen Class, let us know what you think.
Yeah,
If
we'd
you
love to know.
Haven't seen Class?
opinions.
Check it out and see if we're wrong.
Yeah, yeah. We'd love to be wrong. When it comes back for the second season, we'll figure it out.
In a couple of years, they'll be like, I don't know. Britain doesn't do this as much as America. America will be like, remember Class? It's back.
We're just doing that right now for some reason. I think it's the desperate need of people to escape the world we currently live in.
But anyway.
And that's the thing. I hope that they haven't completely screwed up the idea, because I think the premise is fab. Mm-hmm. Love it. Love the premise. So I hope they haven't completely screwed it up.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, moving on to the TARDIS library. So for Into the TARDIS Library this time, I was thinking about students and teachers. I was tempted for a moment to go to Ian and Barbara's last episode. But unfortunately, it's in The Chase, which is one of those lost episodes. We saw, that was the Christmas First Doctor episode we watched.
Oh, right, yeah.
Or watched, I say, hand quotes. So it's, it's really long, and it's also lost. So it's just a bunch of, we'd be watching recordings for like 6 episodes. So,
and that would have made me sad.
Exactly. So I thought about who's a young person or a student, and so I thought about Adric, sort of the for the kids character of Doctor Who. And so we looked at the 4th Doctor story that introduced the character of Adric, and that is Full Circle, the series that premiered 25 October 1980. So I was just a few weeks old when this came on.
Yeah, you were.
So
bless your heart.
It all comes full circle. So, would you like to read the abbreviated synopsis from TARDIS.wikia?
Desperate to. The TARDIS falls through a CVE into E-space. There's a lot of words that don't make a lot of sense. And arrives on the planet Alzarius. There, the inhabitants of a crashed starliner and a group of young rebels called the Outlers, led by a boy named Varsh and including his brother Adric, are terrorized by a race of Marsh Men who emerge from the marshes, strangely enough, at a time known as Mistfall.
So I think I have a quibble. It's not a crashed starliner. It's never taken off, right?
Yes, but we assume we don't realize that until the very end.
Okay.
So presumably by
I would just say starliner.
yeah, fair enough.
You don't want to mislead people in a synopsis.
Or an abandoned starliner, or a non-working starliner.
Well, or is it that this is going to the whole? Because maybe I misunderstood this. Because they're not humans, but I'm going to use lack of a better word. The humans we see are actually evolved Marsh Men who've maybe taken over the starliner that did crash.
No. I don't think so. I got the impression that it was a crashed starliner, but the things that crashed the starliner might have even been the spiders, who then evolved into the Marsh Men, who then evolved into the humans.
So the spiders read the binders.
The spiders left all the binders. Apparently, there were a
confusing.
lot of things that didn't make a whole lot of sense with this. Yeah.
So introducing Adric, who's a character. Well, I say like because
yes,
I feel like, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. Like we spoke to a guest who Adric is their favorite character. Seems most people see him as sort of the Wesley Crusher. You either really like him or really don't. And so like a lot of people are like, oh, he gets killed. That's fine. And there's some people who
Hashtag spoilers.
Yeah. Well, we've already saw that.
We have already talked about that.
But anyway,
I know, but still.
What'd you think of the introduction of Adric? Because it's funny they sort of introduce him, but they don't spell out that he's a companion because he doesn't really officially companionize until the next episode. Since at the end you don't really know that he's stowaway at the TARDIS, but spoiler alert, next series he's like, I'm on the TARDIS. I'm part of the cast now. So.
Now, we have, before we get to Adric, we have Romana.
Right.
Romana 2. The
second Romana.
The second Romana. I'm working on it. I have to really retrain my brain because then I'm like, how do we call the Doctor? Oh yeah, the third Doctor, so the second Romana. I have to walk
or maybe it's just a woman thing.
We're
going to call her Dr. 13th.
Okay. All right. I can get behind that. So anyway, second Romana. But they mention Nyssa and Tegan.
No.
No, Layla.
Leela.
I'll get it right.
And
they mention Leela and
because you haven't. So when she left on Gallifrey and met a guy.
Okay, so she has just left.
Just.
Okay, but that's
long
the
ago.
Reference.
Yes.
Okay, because I was like, where are we? Because
Leela left, and then he went to. Well, cause it must have been Gallifrey. I can't remember the last episode, but it had to have been in Gallifrey because that's how Leela left. And then the Doctor was cruising, and you saw the first Romana, the first Romana episode, Key of Time. There's the Key of Time series, sure, so that's all.
Okay.
So even though there's two Romanas, technically.
Second Romana, right. And so then Adric comes before Nyssa and Tegan.
Yes.
Okay, all right. I'm just trying to get all those things in my head.
We are nearing the end of the Fourth Doctor's run. And Tom Baker's a little skinny, a little gaunt, I thought. Like in the cheeks.
Okay.
He's a little more, he's very I'm like, is it Tom all right? So anyway.
Oh, bless. He must have been
fine. The answer is no.
Yeah, well.
It's true.
So yeah, he was fine. I liked the little ragtag bunch of rebels. I couldn't really understand
what they were rebelling against.
Again, this was very much another one of those, much like Class, that chucked a whole bunch at us without a lot of build-up. And then, bam, this is a thing, and bam, this is a thing, and bam, and you're just sort of reeling from the whole thing.
There's an interesting story there of having a tradition of your people, and perhaps a little fear or doctrine, and maybe even religious if you want to go there. And then revealing, like, oh no, that's not the truth. The hidden truth is that
the Marsh Men
are us. And that this whole thing that we've been working on, it's been ready. We could have left any time we wanted to. We just needed to click our heels 3 times.
But none of us know how to
fly.
Yeah, and I guess that's it just becomes so muddied. So the Marsh Men are us. But
they're trying to kill us.
But they're evolving really quickly, but we never noticed that they turn into us at any point. So how how quickly are they actually evolving? And did we come from the spiders, or are the spiders just a thing that happens to be there?
The spider thing of the spider taking over Romana, I didn't understand that.
And then none of us know how to fly this thing, so we've been pretending it's broken, because actually it hasn't been 40 years, but we're the only ones who know that, so don't tell anybody. It was just a lot of information. A lot coming at us. And then this ragtag group of, Oliver and company.
Want to repair Starlight.
Yeah, but the thing is, they're not the ones who, if it's the younger generation who figure out, none of you know how to drive this thing. We can figure, it's not the younger generation ultimately rebelling and rising to the next evolutionary level or anything. It's just, they happen to be there too, and please, sir, may I have some more?
Right.
They don't find any of that information out. So
one thing I thought that was interesting with Adric is that they established early on that he's the math nerd, which is fine.
He has a medal and everything.
He's a star, yeah. But he doesn't do anything necessarily mathy.
Yeah.
I feel like
it's like Tanya.
Yeah.
We've been told she's the really smart kid with really strict mom.
Because I thought like that's how it would sort of endear him to the Doctor. I mean, there's some mathing of Romana trying to say like how heavy the TARDIS is. It's like this time this that.
Yeah, and he's helping with that.
Because I think, and then there's a thing with I forget what it was called, but the viewer thingy that the whatever that was, they found in the lab, and then that Adric ended up leaving in the TARDIS, even though he left himself in the TARDIS. Not that we know that until the next series or serial. But he doesn't do anything like, Doctor be like, okay, Adric,
aren't you a useful child to have around? Yeah.
So, but anyway, yeah. So it was definitely some potential there.
Yeah.
But it wasn't there. But they didn't do it. So.
Yeah. So I think that you made a good choice here, because not only did you get us student-like characters, but you also got us a really great another example of if they had only taken 4 more episodes. Well,
I don't think this serial needs to be longer.
No. but maybe
trim some fat
down.
Yeah.
So again, they a serial where they were chucking an awful lot at us and expecting us to care.
Yeah.
And you just can't.
Because they kill off half the kids, so.
Yeah.
And we're like, okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, Scott Baio.
Yeah. But at least you get to be the decider, I guess.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
Right. So, there we go.
Yeah. This is actually...
We've spent a lot of time watching bad television this weekend.
Wasting our lives.
Yeah.
Well, this is actually going to mark our series finale. Well, not series finale. I'm saying that in the British sense, not the American sense.
Yes, yeah.
We're not ending the podcast, but this is sort of our season 1 end.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're getting a divorce. So this is the end of this. That's not true. I'm just kidding. Right? It's not true.
That's we'll find out.
Okay.
No, but anyway, but this
cliffhanger. Ooh.
Exactly. So this is sort of our season 1 capstone, because we're going to basically take next week off and regroup. And then the week after, we'll be starting season 2. And then the week after that, we'll be talking new Doctor Who with the 13th Doctor.
And we already have our movie tickets bought, correct?
That's true. It's going to be in the cinemas so it's the 7th of October is a Sunday. I think it's for the 12th, 13th. I can't remember. Not the 13th. That's when I take the GRE. But anyway, it's that Wednesday. Yeah. Whatever that is. It's easy math. I know. But anyway.
You're going to have a busy time, baby.
What can you do? So anyway. But that's what's to come. So we hope you'll let us know your new Doctor Who thoughts and your old Doctor Who thoughts. And we're going to...
And your thoughts on the podcast and which direction you'd like us to go. Do we need to get rid of Phillip? Because I've been thinking for a while, I really ought to just take this on as a solo show.
You and the cat.
Me and the cat, which is not a solo. that is the opposite
Phe9.
of solo.
Yeah.
But, Phe9, you've been thinking about this. I like it.
But if you want to... add us, as the kids say. The Twitter for the network is @JoinNerdParty. Or if you want to talk to us individually, I'm @NCPublicServant.
And I'm @OnePhoenixTheater.
And so until next time, darling, you're my favorite Doctor Who co-host in all of time and space.
Aw, and you're my favorite teenage boy.
This is BBC Television.